Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Podcast-Folge. Heute mit dem Podcast Play with Life, The Art of Transitioning. Mein Name ist Ines Dobschat, ich bin dein Podcast-Host und wir hatten eine längere Sommerpause und nun habe ich wieder ganz tolle Gäste bei mir im Podcast, unter anderem auch die wundervolle Gemma Gains, die heute mit im Call dabei ist. Warm welcome, Gemma. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Take two.
Take two. Ja, wir haben es gerade schon versucht, also wenn ihr gerade zuhört. Wir haben heute aber den 19. August, ein super Full Moon und Mercury, also Merkur rückläufig. Und der hat uns gerade schon einen Strich durch die Rechnung gemacht und jetzt legen wir nochmal neu los. Lovely Gemma and myself, we are going to discuss today your healing journey about about getting rid of nutritional dogmatism and dogmas and how your way of healing, that's what I say right now. We'll discuss it during our interview.
Yeah.
What has happened to you. But for now, you may, if you would like to, introduce yourself. Lovely Gemma.
Oh. Where do I start? I was very poorly for a very long time. Really, really poorly. Lots of different things, lots of different eating disorders which manifested also into depressions and anxieties and all that kind of stuff. I had a very serious underactive thyroid as well in my 30s. And it was having my little boy, my baby boy, getting pregnant with my baby boy that literally changed the whole landscape of the way that I deal with myself, feel about nutrition, feel about health in general, my spirituality, everything. My son just literally
was your trigger, was your evolution point.
Yeah. I was dabbling before. There was always lots of questioning. There was always lots of, really? I'm going to do that.
Why?
Yeah, lots of that. But I don't think that I really had a deep enough intention to do anything constructive about it. It was easier to do it for him than it was for me to start off with.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To take care of my body so that it would actually take care of him in pregnancy. That was easier to get my head round.
Yeah. Because you were responsible for another living,
Yes.
Because for yourself, it was not enough, But yeah.
The self-worth journey. Yeah. The learning curve was incredibly quick in regards to, so why would I look after my body for my son, but not for myself?
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, that was a really big slap in the face for me. And then just from there, just gradually just undoing the programming. Literally, why are we listening to this? Why am I being told this? Let me try something different. How does that feel? Is it working for me? And then it's just a process of elimination.
Yeah.
Some things that come into your consciousness feel it's a big no straight away. Have those no moments, like that's not for me. And then other things, I think it's a little bit of repetition.
Yeah.
Like I need a bit of time to actually try this out. Does this work for me? Does this not work for me? And I think obviously as a woman getting older, I'm going to say that we've had this conversation, this deep conversation.
The grown.
Yeah. And all the stories and all the programming that come with that was another thing. So, like a woman in pregnancy, a woman after pregnancy, then a woman that's aging. Yeah, it was very steep learning curve.
Yeah. Thank you for setting the ground. Sorry, I interrupted. Sorry.
No. I was just going to say more on that, but go.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. It was like the thing that came into my mind, because you now gave a very, broaden scale on how your journey was, and we will dig a little bit deeper. Since in this podcast, it's always about connection, about how life has changed, how was the triggering point or the special event to get into revolution. I like revolution and evolution.
Yeah.
So I would like to start where we both have met and
Yes.
why we actually want to have this conversation, especially for your community, for my community. It's predominantly a female community, and why it's so important from our point of view that we have to get rid of these, dogmas which are all around. But now probably we could start with our meeting and how this whole thing evolved. Would you like to start?
Well, we met round the dinner table, didn't
Yeah,
we?
yeah. It
Which
was a dinner table. Yeah.
I found that really symbolic.
Mhm.
You pull up a chair, I pull up a chair, like completely equal.
Yeah.
Let me share this space with you, kind of thing. And then just straight away into conversation, it was almost like within 2 sentences we'd already decided that we were on an even playing field and we could play ball.
Yeah.
And it was, for me, it just felt very there was no figuring out.
Yeah. It was
It
just
was like there was no rapport building.
no, it was safety,
Yeah.
and especially I think because for all the audience who is listening, it was a retreat where we were in June in Spain, and there were like 6 women coming together. We don't know each other. Not everybody knows each other. So, but Gemma and myself, we didn't know, and it was like literally, like you said, the glitter in the eye. And to have someone to play with, but in a good way, to evolve, to grow, to share the experiences, and to feel safe and have the permission to be authentic as possible at the moment. That was it for me. So thank you again for that, and for all the other ladies maybe who are listening after the podcast. So
Let's send some
greetings to
love
all. Yeah.
Yeah, it was I feel like when you go to those sorts of events, you're already set up that there's going to be people on the same wavelength, especially for someone like we were actually going to see as well.
Yeah.
But I think it would be worthy to note that some of our deepest discussions were happening whilst we had food, whilst we were being served food.
Yeah.
And the big sort of expansive conversations were, and we were really becoming open and really throwing some big topics in over the dinner table, over the food that we were eating, and everything came out, didn't it? And there was no oh, you're this, there was no judgment, there was no separation, there was no, oh, but what about this, like, why are you doing that? There was none of that. It was literally just curiosity and openness and really, and oh wow, and and you've had that experience. It was, if you're going to talk about stuff and talk about oneness and consciousness, I think around the dinner table, that was it.
Yeah, definitely, because of the nourishment, how the meals were prepared, by which people, which intention, to really enjoy the feast, with people, with like-minded people, have the discussion, as you said, to dig deep, and the laughter, the laughs we had while dinner, the creativity we had while dinner, because the dinner itself, it was so creatively arranged, and it was it was so wholehearted, it was nourishment on every aspect, you know, every level.
Shout out to Dika with her colourful presentation
Yes,
as well.
absolutely.
Wow. I mean, obviously, I commented so many times at the dinner table, but I think for the listeners, it's quite interesting to know that I'm pretty much a full-on carnivore, and we were eating vegetarian, almost
Plant-based. Yeah,
vegan.
plant-based. Yeah.
Well, yeah, for a whole week, and not one time did I miss the meat.
Mm.
Not one time did I go to bed hungry. You know, completely satiated and had everything that I needed for a very intense week.
Yes, definitely. And especially in this, you know, in this area, in this field, we were working, you know, going into deep transformational work, doing breath work, other ceremonies, going into shadow work. It was lots of energies going around, lots of
Yeah.
processing, lots of sharing, lots of being isolated sometimes, you know, with all your stuff, to get into contact if you wanted to share or not. And
Mhm.
it's like the most essential that you are well nourished to are able to process everything. That was
Yeah, absolutely.
our conclusion, I think, around the whole table, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it was the meal times were some of my favorite times over
Yeah.
the week.
Why?
Like for so many different reasons. I I not because I eat with my hands most of the time.
Hmm.
I can pick up when it's making up people feel uncomfortable. And I didn't feel that once. I didn't feel like someone was watching, you know, like I'm very hand to mouth. Sometimes I get it on my face and, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm a very messy eater. And didn't seem like a problem. You know, everyone else was just carry on, you know.
Yeah.
And then some of the other ladies towards the end of the week were a little bit more, you know, with the hands and things. And I was like, that's nice, you know?
Yeah, we inspired each other. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
But it's not like you're eating with hands. It sounds a little bit clumsy, but it isn't. It has a very biological background doing that. So maybe you would like to move on with that because maybe the audience would
Yes.
like to know that. It's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I alluded to the fact that I had lots of eating disorders. I literally just morphed from one to the other throughout my whole existence. Ever since I was really little, I was very fussy with food, and I would dissect everything, and I would have to have everything laid out on my plate in a certain way.
Mm,
I would often put my food in my pockets and, you know, take it outside to play and then just give it away. I wouldn't eat, I'd starve. And it was all in control. All the eating disorders, I found it was a process of controlling what I was doing because I felt so uncomfortable eating because I didn't
mm,
feel safe to eat. And the more that I became childlike with my eating actually helped me and connecting more with the food, not putting any boundaries in the way of me and the meal. That was huge.
mhm.
Changed the way that I ate and the way that I interacted with my food massively. And obviously you know, the relationship we have with our hands and touching everything and, you
Yeah.
know, it's all our inner outer world. I mean, I can't even tell you the last time that I was poorly.
Yeah. And you as a mean to check if the food is good, if it's you know, if it's soft, if it's hard to get the texture, you know,
Yeah.
to eating with hands in so many cultures are normal. In our Western culture it's not, because
Yeah.
it's seem to be not hygienical enough, you know,
Mm.
it's not. And it's, yeah, it's just half the truth. We both know, but yeah, it was interesting to see that from my point of view, from my point as a holistic health practitioner, to witness what you're doing, and I've immediately knew what you do. You know, it
Yeah.
was so interesting that to see a person embodying that knowledge, and that was fascinating for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really interesting, and the question that you sent over to me, the only one that you sent over
Yeah,
was, how do you deal with people having a
yeah,
problem with what you're doing?
yeah,
And it starts there, like people are going to see you eating with your hands, and it's already an opinion. Oh my God, look at what
yeah,
she's doing.
yeah.
And there's a judgment, but without the curiosity of the why,
Mm,
obviously there's the science and stuff, the microbiome, we can use all those kind of words, but I feel like with the knife and fork, I mean,
mhm,
I've never been good at using a knife and fork. I've always been horrendous, but I'm ambidextrous, so it feels weird in either hand. So
mhm,
using hands for me feels quite natural anyway.
yeah,
But I experience more.
mhm,
Like there's something lovely about like licking your fingers and having all the tastes, and everything is just so much more satiating eating with your hands
yeah.
and experiencing the food and how
Getting
you.
connected, really getting
Yeah,
connected with the
yeah,
food, I would
yeah, and it's
imagine, yeah,
almost like you're
because
taking it in,
mhm,
taking it in through your hands as
yeah,
well,
yeah,
like the heat and, like,
mhm.
I love the smell, like, if you've had, like, coriander, I
Yeah,
love
yeah, yeah, yeah.
coriander.
Or fish or anything else. And
Oh,
when you're eating with the hand, you certainly don't have some problems with the food is too hot or it's burning your mouth and so on because your hands will feel that
yeah,
before.
that was a skill that I learned from my little boy.
Yeah.
We used to have to go through 20 forks. At one point, he was like, No, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that."
Mm,
And I'd literally get all these different forks out of the drawer, and
yeah.
I'd be like, "Oh, sod it. Just use your hands if you want to," like. And he would always eat all of his meal if I just put it in front of him and just let him get on with it.
Yeah.
He would so much, and he'd put some in his hair. He'd have it always in his ear. Always find broccoli in his ear hole, but like he was experiencing the whole of
Yeah.
it, and I never had to, like, "Oh, you must eat all of your food."
Yeah. Mm.
There was never any stress if I just left him to his own devices and just let
Hey,
him.
we can learn so much of our children.
Mhm.
We have to unlearn our own conditioning
Mm.
by leaving the child being a child and
Yeah.
experience itself. Yeah.
Mhm. But that eating with the hands, and that becomes like a different story of like, what are you eating and how you're
Mm,
judged for what you're eating. And I feel like that really is the biggest topic at the moment for nutrition,
yeah.
because I have spent the last 2 years working with farmers,
Mm,
going to farms, seeing where the food is coming from, and I feel like the disconnection between a person and their plate, where their food is coming from, and the people that are actually making their food is
horrendous.
like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
universe away. And
Mm.
I feel like the gratitude for the food, where it comes from. I mean, like Dika picking the stuff out of the garden at the retreat was just.
Yeah, and checking by herself to make clear that the food is ripe, that everything is fine, and that's a whole new aspect and whole new gratitude you could embody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and all that love that went into that tomato or that
Yeah.
beetroot that she came with, like she was like, "Oh, we actually made this."
Yes. Yeah.
Like that excitement, that's all gone into that.
Yeah. We help the plant grow, we nourish the plant, and now the plant is nourishing us. And
Yeah.
that's the whole circle and
Yeah.
cycle. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And like obviously we can go into the sort of the carnivore aspect of things.
Yes, that's what I would like to ask you. So there is carnivore,
Yeah,
and I would
so
like to know what your day-to-day, carnivore diet is so that the audience get a feeling about what we are talking actually.
I mean, I live on a beef farm, so I mean, I have to do a bit of a disclaimer that I
Yeah.
I am in a very fortunate situation. I don't put my belief systems on anybody else. It's not like follow me. I'm doing
Hmm.
something great. This is the way to do it. I I coach and teach others that they have to move intuitively with what they put into their mouth,
Yep.
in the same way that I do. I haven't always eaten like this. It's not been that long whatsoever, but I actually realized that I was pretty much carnivore when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been very natural for me because I was incredibly fussy and I ate very simply, but I ate a lot of meat and I drank a lot of milk.
Mm-hmm.
They were the main things, literally. So simple, meat and milk.
So interesting, because I was a milk drinker too. But I hated some, I say, special forms of meat, like chicken and something like this. I loved it. I could eat chicken the whole time. With beef and so on, it was not my case. That's so interesting. Yeah.
I think how meat is cooked is
Yeah.
really important, because if
Yes.
someone boils meat round me, I'm like, absolutely not. I
Yes,
can't.
that was the point, because I have a Polish mother, so we had like broths and so stuff with meat, and I was like running away, spitting it out. I hated it. But when there was other, preparation of the food, I would eat it. But
Mhm.
the stew thing, the broth thing,
Yeah.
I distaste.
Texture is ridiculously important to
Yeah.
anything that you're eating. It's part of the whole experience. And if anyone says that texture is not important, they are completely bonkers. Like,
Yes. Thank you. Yes, it is.
it can literally transform your whole experience of that meal. And when someone says to me, I don't like a certain type of food, I generally get really curious as to say,
Yeah.
how was it served?
Yes.
Because
Also, in which
meat.
state was it served, in a stressed way, blah, 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 intention in the
Yeah,
food?
yeah.
And was it just like an obligation or, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you under stress when, like, are your parents trying to ram food into your face because they're worried that you're not eating? Like,
Yes, I know that.
yes. And I feel like so many of us grew up like that. My
Mm,
mum used to say, if you don't finish all the food on your plate, there's starving kids in Africa. The guilt round my
yeah,
eating was
yes,
huge.
yeah.
And then also used to get the threats of, if you finish all your food, then you can get something sweet,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously there's so many people that, have been
Are still
blackmailed.
processing it as a grown
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And emotional eating as well is profoundly prolific. Can I say that?
Mm,
In pretty much everyone that I see, emotional eating is a real big issue for so many different reasons.
yeah.
So many different reasons. I don't think we could cover all of that emotional eating in one podcast.
No, it's just like a compensation. You have no, it's traumatic, it's a compensation, and some
Mm,
people are at some point aware of it and try to change it, and that's the journey which is starting, yeah.
mm.
But when you are still stressed and your nervous system is stressed again, so it's likely that you have the emotional eating again now.
Yeah, and I find that food is, or can be, so addictive because it turns all the senses on,
Yep.
because you become primal around your food. So
Yes.
if you think of it, so this is the way that I teach nutrition. You're turning your eyes on, first of all. So that's your first sense, isn't it? You see across the horizon, there
Mhm.
might be some bushes over there or something that might be ripe for foraging, or there's a deer over there, like eyes on straight away. And then you're walking over, you might smell something, then you're getting your hands on it. That's another scent, like, I mean, even a sixth sense,
Yeah.
you're literally, your whole body is becoming a giant antennae for your food.
Yeah. And your internal perspective too, yeah? Are you hungry? Are you not hungry?
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah,
yes.
all that kind of stuff. So if you have a bad experience with food, your whole nervous system is now wired up to hitting that wall with that food.
Yep.
And it's so easy to just go, no, I don't want to be in fear. I don't want to have that situation. And often people never go back to that thing that they've been scared of.
Mm.
In the same way that if a dog bit them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So quite a lot of people that I work with in regards to nutrition, they might have choked when they were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's literally like nothing even to worry about, not a serious situation, sometimes it, you know, whatever food they were eating, most of the time it's meat, choking on a piece of meat that they've not chewed properly, because obviously we're not used to chewing things properly.
Yeah.
You know, we're
The
not used to.
preparation again, the texture again. Mm.
And we're cutting all of our food up. This is another reason why I rip. And we went we went to Sweden after the retreat, and there was like lamb being cooked on the bone, pork
Mm-hmm.
being cooked on the bone, all this kind of stuff, you know, roasted.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting there, you know, like ripping it off the
Yeah.
ribs and things, and like some of the people were a bit like, oh my God, what's happening over there?
The barbarians are coming
Yeah.
from the island.
Yeah.
They are coming back, actually.
Yeah, but there was this little toddler there who had like a bone in
Yeah.
its mouth, you know, like sucking all the like
Yeah. Yeah.
ligaments and stuff
Yeah.
off it. And I was like, yes,
He got the
you
turn.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, excellent dummy as well, you know.
Mm.
I think like for most of us, for society, those things are just not even a thing. No, nobody, like, I mean, probably the closest you would get to that is you would buy a chicken, a whole chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, it's not very many people that would know to boil the bones down to make a broth, or
Yeah.
sit there and actually chew the meat from the bone. People
Yeah.
can be quite, do you know the word squeamish?
Yeah. Squeamish. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're becoming so because food is so processed,
Mm.
we're not seeing it in its rawest form. We're not seeing that it's actually an animal, and it has,
Yeah.
you know, like ligaments, it has muscle, it has bones, it has veins, you know. They're just like, oh, this is disgusting because it's got a gooey bit on it.
Yeah. But so do you.
Exactly.
That's where the cycle, yeah, ends and starting again.
Yeah.
So we like I think this is very, very funny, because that's a side of us, the very primal side of us, you know, this very archaic side of us, which we don't allow, because of course we are yeah, not infinite in our form as we sit here.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have to die. And
Mhm.
I think this is a main misconception from my point of view, that many people have a big, big problem with the fact that they kill. We kill, you know?
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
kill food, we kill plants, we kill in order to live, and that's the primal thing about it. We have to take advantage of the resources we get, you know,
Mhm.
and we consume the resources, but it's the intention on how we consume the resources which is a difference, or
Yeah,
which make the difference, you know.
yeah, I mean, I feel like even that topic we could do a whole podcast about, couldn't we?
Yes,
Like,
yes, definitely.
dealing with death, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like there's so much, well, what were we saying before the call? The nutrition has become the new religion, hasn't it? You know,
Yeah.
like you're choosing your religion almost by deciding what you eat these days.
And separation.
Yeah, and
It's separation everywhere, instead of being a collective, you know, and pull the people together, like sitting literally on the same table as we did. And we just share stories, perspective, experiences, because when you are so identified with all that stuff, you cannot make any new experiences.
No,
Not possible.
I was, as I said previously, I haven't always eaten like this. When I started actually working with people for trauma, food was mentioned pretty much every single person I saw. And then obviously with my experience with food and trauma, it was, one of the same.
Yeah.
And understanding that food is more of a medicine than anything that you get from the pharmacy. I started seeing the patterns in people's belief systems in regards to food. And I think it's the underlying narratives that actually control so much of what you classify as your nutrition, or what you classify as being nutritious. How does it make you feel when you feel like you're investing? I'm going to use the word investing in an industry that's causing animals pain. So you're literally eating guilt.
Yep.
Like because there is so much detachment, as I was saying, in regards to the farm and the person. There's all that energetic transfer that people don't understand, and they wonder why they feel so shit. Excuse my language.
It's allowed. I'm fine.
They wonder why they feel so bad when they're eating good food, and if it's force-fed chemicals, it's grown basically in a lab. Like, how is that animal looked after? Does it have anyone that cares for it? What is it eating? Like,
does it get sun? Is it like naturally fed and so on?
Yeah, like the game changer for me in regards to my work and how I plan to move my business and everything came when I started working with farmers.
Can imagine,
because I feel like getting people back involved to where their food comes from is literally a game changer for society. I feel like the healing curve will just...
And you don't have the whole logistic chain, in between. You know what I mean?
Sorry, just say that again, because you cut out.
You don't have the logistics in between, the chain, like so many people, the food is going through so many hands, so many hands and so many energies till it's on your plate, actually. And that's a very interesting thing. The shorter the logistics, the better.
Yeah. On my birthday last year, we had a deer stalker here, and he actually I went out shooting with him, and we stalked a deer, and it was literally the most spiritual experience I've ever had in regards to my food. It was just like magnificent. I put my hands on her. She was, she'd been shot right through her chest cavity. It would have been instant. She would have been leaping through the air and she would have gone. And putting my hands on her and feeling her energy, it was like she was incredible. Incredible. And he actually prepares the deer in the field, and then takes them home to butcher them. He's the only person that touches that meat. For me, when we've had the deer back, it's something else.
Yeah, can imagine.
The energy is just incredible. But I do feel like there's something similar with the beef on the farm as well.
Yeah.
Because there's less processing. Because I mean, what is that even? Like we discussed that at the table, didn't we? The whole foods. Like
the whole foods is actually the normal, or not even. We are not even there, because we know nowadays that like an apple is just like 10% of nutrients than 100, 200 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not even comparable.
Yeah. But before even that, we've messed with things so much.
Mm.
This
Yes.
is the intellectualizing our food and nutrition to the point where we're breaking everything down into
Yeah.
vitamins, minerals,
Nutrients.
yeah, whatever that is, our man-made constructs of
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I got a really strong download when I had my son, and it came in like a bolt of lightning, and I feel like it just encompasses everything that we do with food these days. And my guides just said, happy children don't like take food apart.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's what we're doing. We're unhappy children who are literally trying to, we're not grateful.
For everything Mother Earth gives us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like when you look at a banana,
Mhm.
how original a banana was, it was just like a little yellow case with
Yes,
skin.
yes.
And
Yeah.
then
Watermelons, little balls,
yes,
or
yes, yes.
even uh, like oranges, lemons, all that stuff with
Yeah.
whole seeds in it. We
Mm,
would never have eaten that. So
yeah. So Mother Nature has given us a herb. It was always going to be a herb, which is the medicine.
yes.
Plants were always medicine. And then because humans, basically, we stopped still
Yeah.
and we manipulated Mother Earth to give us something that is full of sugar. Literally everything is just
Mm.
absolutely rammed to death of full of sugar.
No
And it's
bitterness anymore, which is very essential for our digestive system. Yeah.
yeah, and everything is just pleasure eating.
So good. That's
Yeah,
very good pleasure of eating, but
yeah,
not
the
in a good
pleasure of
way.
eating and convenience, and it's literally killing us.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, we don't chew anything. We don't, see the innards. I mean, like in some countries, they actually like chop up all your vegetables and fruit and put them in plastic
Yeah,
and then sell it to you for more. Like
it's
my brain,
insane.
I
Yeah, yeah, I
know.
know that. I know that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my, every time, like, oh.
Like
And then
peeled oranges, I've seen it anywhere. I don't know
mm,
where it was, but what I was quite shocked because it's so, for me, it's so untasty because I don't want to have plastic around it. Plastic is the most
mhm,
hormone system disruptor you can ever
yeah,
imagine. All
yeah,
our hormone systems are like crash, especially in the female world. We
yeah,
get infertile and stuff like that. We get sick. We get, I don't know, and plastic everywhere. Plastic on you remember the thing I said during the ceremony with our bras, that we
yeah,
don't should wear bras with plastic. I knew that, but it was like, now you really have to
yeah,
do that, to share that. No plastic on your body, no
yeah.
plastic in your food, no plastic everywhere. So yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. You're just absorbing it all.
Yeah. Our skin is the biggest organ we got. And
Mm,
that's so interesting what you said by eating with the fingers, because I'm very, very sure that we absorb the food also via our fingers,
yes, yes,
via skin, some
yes,
nutrients, especially the fat, I imagine, that
yes.
we like soaking in the fat also.
Yeah.
And that's yeah.
But it's also it's more pleasurable experience for me personally. It
Mm,
has a very um it's not, I can't use the word seduction. It's not that thing for me at all. It's not like, when you see in like 90s films, like women licking their fingers
mm,
and stuff.
mm.
It's not like that. It's not seduction, and I can't
It's
find the word.
enjoying the food,
Yeah, it's
enjoying the maybe enjoying all the connection with it, maybe.
Yeah, let me sit on that. Let me
Yeah.
find a word for that. But
Yeah.
yeah, just like it's trusting and being
Mm.
grateful, I find that is like, say, for example, I made something for my son.
Mm.
He would he would eat all of his food if he had made it or
Mhm.
helped in some way.
Yeah.
And I was telling the girls this morning, because we were just packing up for our event yesterday, and I
Mm.
was telling them a story about my son, and he had a potato as a pet when he was little. It was so funny. I bought these humongous.
Potato pet. It's such a beautiful picture.
I will
The
send
potato
you.
pet.
I will
Send me a
send you a
picture,
photograph.
please.
I will
Yes,
send
I
you a
will
photo.
share it with the post for the
Yeah,
podcast. I
oh,
have to
please
see that.
do. He
Yes.
honestly, everything that I teach, my son taught me about foods, because I used to go to our market in Barnsley, and they always had like amazing vegetables. They were always massive, really big. And I just bought these like baking potatoes one time. I just to try something new, really.
Mhm.
And it had come to the point where I was going to cook it, and he took it off me, and he was like, it was almost like he was saying, not yet, mum. And he was like communicating with this potato,
Mhm.
and he took it
The
outside.
potato whisperer.
He took he took it outside and put it on his scooter and showed it round the garden, as
Mhm.
if, like, for his last rites, this potato had asked for a tour around the garden in the sunshine. It was so
Oh, to
bizarre, and
say
I
goodbye.
yeah,
Oh, oh, it's so it's so heart crushing, you know. This, I feel so much love for this
he
potato.
he wasn't upset about it at all. It was just literally like, "No, I need to do this thing because the
Mm,
potatoes asked me to." And then he just came into the kitchen and gave it to me as if to say, "Right, you can do it now. You can cut him
okay,
up."
okay.
That's fine, and I'm happy about it. But I found it really interesting that he understood that that was like an alive thing, and it would experience something.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah, and that for me was really profound in regards to meat eating, because at the time I was a vegan,
yeah.
and it
How
just
come? How dare you? It's
what
not,
eating my
it's not,
potato?
it's not in the collective narrative to change this. So,
Oh, going from one end of the spectrum to the other.
yeah.
Well, the veganism came from someone that I worked with. Her anxiety was like nothing that I'd ever seen before, like palpitations constantly. She couldn't go out of the house. She was really, really struggling, really bad anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things that we spoke about was her veganism, and that she was, almost getting paranoid about what she was eating. So much fear around.
Controlling. Mm.
Yes, and like not wanting to hurt anybody, not wanting to hurt any animals, like fear, 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 very, very scared. And what I was asking her a diary of what she was actually eating, the amount of carbohydrates and sugar that she was piling in every single day, like her insulin levels must have been like
Mm. Crushing.
off,
Yeah.
yeah, off the charts.
Mm.
And she said she was tired all the time. I was just like, your body's like going from fight or flight into crashing to fight or flight, like there doesn't seem to be this connection between people's mental health and their digestive system. Like, I don't quite understand why those two things are not being addressed together.
Yeah, it will be. I'm sure it will be because there's more and more people who get depressed, who get depression, anxiety, all this stuff, not only because of social media, because of the last 4 years, because of, pandemic and stuff, because of all the toxins in our environment. And maybe as an ex-course, just to underline what you've said is like I do hair mineral analysis,
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
ratios, with different minerals like I don't know, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and stuff like that. And I can see from these charts if a person is a vegan, a vegetarian, or like, um, yeah. mixed eater, you know.
What are you seeing? What are the patterns that you're seeing from that?
The pattern is always when people, especially vegan, and also at some point vegetarians, is that the digestive system is not working properly because of the combination, the ratios of these minerals. It cannot work because your stomach acid is not in the direction we have to have it, you know, because carnivores and humans, we can do both. Yes, we have a certain pH level on our stomach acid. And if we have not this level, of course, it's harder to digest flesh, meat, and stuff like that. And the people then say, you see, my body cannot process it, not digest it. It's not for me. I have to be vegan. But that's a skill actually our body loses. That's like the original setting we get. When we get born, we have the ability to do that. And even the saying, either you use it or you lose it. And that's the same thing about our stomach acid. And it's not healthy at all to have a low stomach acid pH level. There's something your body shows to yourself that he's like not regenerating. It's degeneration, you know?
Yeah.
It's so important. And that's what I'm seeing in that hair mineral analysis the whole time. And I'm like the bad cop telling the women that they might try other, be more open, try out other natural, experiences.
I mean, let's talk about some of the programming. I don't know whether it's the same in Germany, but like to have 5 fruits a day in your meals, to mix them into your meals. Now, for me, in my understanding, if I look at indigenous peoples, let's say, you would have your kill, say your deer, your bison, whatever. You would
Fish,
have
eggs, meat.
Yeah, you would literally be only having protein.
Yeah.
You would forage throughout the day when you were on the hunt or when you were moving around. You would have your little bits of plant matter. As you were going, you're constantly moving, you're using that sugar and that carbohydrates up as you're moving. And then in the evening when you're sitting down, you're with a fire, you're in the infrared. I mean, the science is there our connection to fire, all that kind of stuff. And then you're having a lot of protein and then you're sleeping on a full stomach.
Yeah.
So your body is eating like this whole thing about not eating late. Like
it's like in the nature. You see a lion in the savannah, the lion gets its hunt and then goes into the shade and in the shadow of the plants and lay down and just sleep and digest.
So that's what we would do.
Yeah. And it's also depending on the food you're eating, because at the moment I dig a little bit into the fat, like Stoffwechsel. I don't know the word. Let me see this. Stoffwechsel. Translator. Stoffwechsel. The metabolism, of course.
I can't believe that's the first time that you've had to check a word in the
yes,
whole
I have. The metabolism, the carb metabolism or the fat metabolism, and we are like switching to one another. We are able to do that. For our brain, the fat, of course, is more important because our brain is fat. So that's why dementia, Alzheimer, and all the stuff is actually not. It's a fat loss.
Yes.
Problem and too much sugar problem. It's like your brain being insulin resistant.
Yeah.
And
but you're yes,
it is. And we can switch to that, and when you look at nature, it's like, of course, in the summertime when we have our crops and stuff like that, we have plenty of sugar because of the fruit and stuff, you know. But we don't have it in the winter or in the springtime, and even in the beginning of the summer, you have to wait until all the fruit is ripe. So
Yeah,
in the
but you
summertime, we
never
can have.
have as much as what we eat, though.
No,
You know, like when you
never.
sit and eat a punnet of strawberries to yourself,
Yeah,
or you know,
yeah.
you they're not ripe in that way.
Mm,
Like I just find it bizarre that people do, you know, like people don't associate the way that they're feeling with what they're eating. Like
mm.
you're overeating constantly. If you think about walking past like the farmer does it here, when he's walking around the farm, if he sees a ripe blackberry, he'll just pick it. That's
Yeah,
one.
yeah. And not the whole bunch of, yeah.
Yeah,
Love
like
the
you,
blackberries actually, so I love it, and sometimes I'll do that because
yeah.
I love them. But that's not something I do every day, of course. No.
Yeah. But I mean, like if you like for children, fruit is, I don't know why, but people think that the best thing to give children is loads of fruit. And for
Yeah.
me, that's the worst thing.
No, it's not natural. We
It's not
especially,
filling them with you know, like worrying about their teeth and all this kind of stuff. It's and worried why they're so hyper.
yeah,
Like,
ADHD and stuff like
yeah,
that. It's just like the sugar.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The
And sorry.
go on.
No, no, do.
We're getting excited now.
Yeah.
We're in flow.
Oh, crazy, crazy. Yeah.
Go on, you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, just in the autumn and winter time, from originally we go more into the fat parts, the fat components of our nutrition, and normally
Hmm.
because we don't had any carbs in the winter.
Mm.
There were no. And even the carbs we got is like carrots, like beets, like potatoes, like stuff like that. It's like earthy, very, very earthy
Hmm.
carbs, and not
Hmm.
the carbs that are grown above the
Hmm.
soil.
Hmm.
That's a whole different topic. It's
Yeah.
a whole different topic about that. But these are natural carbs in the
Yeah.
soil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also giving you a completely, I mean, like different plants do different things.
Yep.
Different plants, you know, some plants process sunlight and water and they don't need so much of
Yep.
the, you know, the soil. They can grow in soil that's not very mineral, you know, dense. Then
Yep.
there's like the root vegetables that are literally just absorbing everything from the earth, you know, like
Mm.
there's and I feel like there's so much nuance to that in regards to nutrition. What are you getting in the way of sunlight? People don't see that as a form of nutrition. If you're not getting it from your food, then you actually need to be getting it,
From the
you
sun.
know.
Yep. Yep.
The vitamin D is absorbed like through our skin. Like
Yep.
there's so much of it. And also something that's been coming into my consciousness so much lately, and what I'm desperately trying to educate people on is your nutrition is always balanced by what is actually going out as well. Like who are you spending your time with and who are you um sharing your energy with?
Mhm.
You know, like what conversations are you having? Are you feeling like you're getting something back from that conversation as well? Like I don't, there's not,
Is it nourishing you? That's
yeah,
the nourishment on the whole level. Yeah.
yes. Like who are you, like your energy reserves, like for me, are like
Mhm.
little battery packs.
Yeah.
You know, who are you using that energy up on? Where is it going? You know, like sometimes, well, not even sometimes. I think for women, we need to be educated very deeply on eating different foods at different points of our cycle. I mean, obviously you specialize in this kind of stuff. You know, there's there's so much to that. I mean, what's the percentage of fat that a woman needs to even be balanced in her hormone life. It's high, isn't it?
It's very high. Actually, you should have, the main point is proteins, yeah,
Hmm.
and lots of fat, and the lesser tile is the lesser part is carbs, of course,
Yeah.
and it's not healthy at all when women have like a body fat ratio which is lower than 20. It
Mm.
should be the perfect, the optimal body fat ratio should be from 20 to 28%.
Mm.
And that's the perfect, yeah, ratio to be very, very healthy, because women have to have more fat, because the fat is necessary to yeah, to create hormones,
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
rid of hormones as well,
Yeah.
to get rid of toxins, because of our fat tissue like absorbs the toxins in order that we get yeah, healthy offsprings and stuff like that. So it's so intelligent how we women, and of course men, are built for the special purpose they have. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to be able to offer that kind of teaching in ways that facilitate acceptance, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there is so much programming around, from the media, from the magazines, aesthetics about the way
Yeah.
that women are meant to
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, that was so damaging for me,
Mm.
so damaging for me. And literally like a cancer fed into so much of my eating disorders, because
Mm.
the sort of fat, like, I mean, at one point I was bikini model training. So
Mm.
that's what, like 7% body fat or something ridiculous. Like, I had a six pack, there wasn't a gram of fat on me,
Did
washboard
you have a
stomach.
cycle up then?
I've always had a cycle, but I feel like my periods went really, really light and really, really short.
Yeah, because most of the women who are like in that range of body fat percentage, they don't even have a cycle. And then we also talk a lot about PCOS and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And that's a real thing, because the most important thing, for not only for society, for nature, for everything, is like very fertile women,
Yeah.
of course, for obvious reasons. Yeah.
But there's also a discussion, and I so would love to do a podcast just on hormones with you, because
Mm.
obviously you're definitely the specialist out of the two of us in regards to it. But quite a lot of what I'm seeing with other ladies who are coming into my consciousness is the overwhelming rise in testosterone.
Mhm.
So that
Oh,
was obviously,
wonder why.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like the relationship with trauma,
Mhm.
the fight or flight, having to become more masculine,
Mhm.
the testosterone, and then infertility. I feel like this storyline is becoming more and more apparent. It's coming more in my consciousness, something that I have experience in, and I feel like it needs to be expanded, and the conversation around this needs to become more mainstream.
Yeah. Yes, that's what we do. We are doing that.
Yeah. I feel like women there isn't when it's really frustrating for me when people talk around the science around women's health.
Yeah.
And
Just go, and I
I
just
just
go.
I just feel that it's pretty much impossible to talk about women's health scientifically,
Mm.
because you're logically your masculine energy, you're logically trying to work out something that is, it does not,
Heavenly, divine, constructed.
yeah, and it's infinite.
Mhm.
How could you do a study on 100 women
Mm.
who were all the same weight, who were all the same age, who were all in the same day of their cycle, with the
Mm.
same trauma, with the same life experience,
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, we are not suitable for studies, and that's actually the big trap we are in as women right now, because the history of gender medicine is just like 30-40 years old. It's not that old. All the studies based on men, and we are considered like little men with a cycle, but obviously we are not. We have some different structures and hormone system and stuff like that. And that's actually really sad, because the fear of harming fertile women, of
Mm,
course, is
mm.
difficult when you do studies, and it's difficult. For these reasons, I can understand that, but but there are, I think, possibilities to do that, and we don't need actually studies at every point. My perspective or my intention is to, and I think that's your intention as well, that we women reconnect to our intuitive side,
Yes.
to our body. And when we are connected with ourselves, we are connected automatically with our environment, with our relationships, with the food, with everything. And from this point, we can do our magic. But so many people, so many women are disconnected from themselves. And that's why we have the problem, because we have the role model, and role model is to be mostly man-like in every point in your life. That's something to pursue, but it's not for us, because we are just different. Yeah.
Yeah, and we should be celebrated for that.
Yeah.
In our not being able to be understood. I feel like there's a mystique around women
Yes.
that science just needs to give up on. The way that I teach from the ground up is religion, science, and magic were all the same thing.
Yep. Agree to
And
that.
it was men trying to intellectualize and separate everything, and they couldn't understand magic, so they got rid of that.
Yes. And they hunted us for that. You have to
Exactly.
say that, because today we are full moon in Aquarius, and for being or living your uniqueness, from my point of view, the witch wound is triggered so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I just like, I got goosebumps
Yeah.
for that. The
Yeah.
witch wound, for being unique, for being the herbalistas, the plant medicine woman, the healers, the midwives, the doulas, and everything like that. That's why we get hunted, because men will never understand what we are just doing, receiving and just doing. I by myself, I cannot understand. You
I
know?
think it's really interesting. Something that I brought up in Circle, and I have been getting snippets of it leading up to our conversation, our podcast. But it really laid in for me when I was actually channeling in Circle yesterday, and I'll share it with you. So the relationship between, from woman to woman is the understanding. We're
Yeah.
not meant to be understood by men. That's not our role.
Oh,
That's not what's meant to happen.
yes. Yeah.
I feel like it's the bonds in women that's where our understanding, that's where that connection comes from. I feel like it's a man's job to protect the unknown and just to respect it. It's like he doesn't need I say he, I mean the masculine.
Mhm.
I mean, he doesn't need to intellectualize us.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to understand why we're
Yeah.
having a breakdown. He doesn't need to understand that we're having a hormone cycle. Like he just,
Witnessing. It's about
that's
witnessing, I
it,
guess.
literally. But I feel like it's women that need to become, to need to come back together, that will help people's relationships,
Mm.
because it's women that need to stop asking men to understand them.
Yeah, and it's not fair. Imagine like we women are, it's like our main job. It's like directly associated with the feminine energy emotions, you know? Feel emotions, process emotions, be emotional, all that stuff. And it's not fair for the man because we look or we wish having a man who understand and be as emotional as ourselves, like processing it like that. And
Mhm.
it's not fair at all because
No.
for them it's new
Mhm.
that they were allowed to be soft, to be strong, to be aggressive, you know, the testosterone, to protect and even to kill, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's the picture I get from the ceremony where I was standing like with the drumstick and with the shamanic
Yeah.
knife, and I was ready to kill and protect the feminine, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was such a yes, I know. And it was like I just create even more. That were the words I got, and it's so perfect in
Mm,
this room we share.
mhm,
Create even more. I will protect you. I will protect
mm.
you by anything else. I will even kill for you. And
Yes, 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 yes.
that's so beautiful.
I ever since I started meditating and I mean, obviously we've spoken about past lives and things like that. The samurai culture for me just
Mm.
resonates so deeply, and I believe, I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that Native Americans have the same response to war as the samurai. So the men would go out and fight the battle away from the home, would go into, you know, use their testosterone and protect and all that kind of stuff. And the women would protect the children at home. So they would be like the last line of defense.
Yeah,
So it would be, you know, women together, you know, and samurai culture actually taught women how to do, you know, deadly art form with a small blade that they would literally hide in their kimono, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And I
To
just think,
protect themselves, yeah, and the
and
homes,
their
and just like
children.
don't, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and I feel like that is how we need to be again. Like, I'm not saying we need to carry daggers and stuff like
No,
that, but I feel
hopefully
like
not nowadays, but yeah.
women don't like, we are very lucky in our society to live the way that we do and to not be in these, I mean, there's some parts of the world that are literally falling to pieces, and I do feel
Yeah.
incredibly blessed that we don't have to deal with that. And I think that, but we, our bodies are still dealing with that, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like that
I feel you,
constant,
sister.
yes,
Yeah.
I feel like it's us to look after each other and provide, like, this is, I suppose it's coming up in this conversation because I think that is a massive drain on our energy as women,
Mm.
that trauma of not being together, you know?
Especially nowadays where everyone is isolated, families are drawn apart, you know, the grandparents, the children, everything's got institutionalized, and yeah.
But think, you know, like, think about how we started the like, the top of this conversation was
Mm.
we sat down at the dinner table and it was so easy, no competition, no judgment. We were all the same. It was almost like all sisters just sat down and started enjoying a meal together. There was, you know, if someone would have tried to attack the retreat in some way, we would have all stood up and, you
Yeah.
know, and
We-
protected each other, wouldn't we?
yes, of course. Like, yes, like warrioresses, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like maybe what I'm getting at with that is we need to start educating each other.
Mm.
We need to start sharing this knowledge that's coming in from consciousness, and to reevaluate the programming, and to acknowledge that it is just programming. These are just rules and regulations that
Yeah.
we are living by, that are actually destroying us, that are, you know, imbalancing us and causing us to feel defeated and low energy and
Inauthentic, mainly. Yeah.
yeah. But also in regards to the competition, you know, like
Mm.
we were all at the pool, we were all in swimsuits and things like that. You know, I'd literally just had my implants removed, so you know, I'm there with my scars and my, you know, my little Miss New Boobs. I didn't. There was no thought in my mind that I was being judged or,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's women who are living more authentically and showing up with normal looking bodies,
Mm.
you know,
Like
and
bodies,
just, it's just normal, you know,
like
like,
vessels.
yeah, like even having, I wear a lot of belly tops and,
Mm.
you know, I have my belly out and I
Yeah.
show that I'm relaxed when I'm dancing. I always push my belly out, if anything, you know. I want women to see how relaxed I am because it relaxes them.
Yeah.
You know,
So
like
true.
that is a form of nutrition because what you take in through your eye is also, oh, you know, nutritious. Ah, inspired. Ah,
Yeah.
this, you know, this is working.
From how dare you to I try it.
Yeah,
How makes it me myself feel? How can I experience myself by doing that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And like
Absolutely.
I would never go and say you must eat meat.
Mm.
I just do what I do. And like a lot of people ask me about my hair. A lot of people ask me about my hair. What do you do? You know, like, and I'm just like, this is meat hair.
Meat hair, yes.
Yeah. Like that's broth. That's, you know, like,
Silicium, collagen, every good stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
and the stories about drinking water. Like I don't drink water. I don't drink water. I just eat fat. My skin doesn't, it's not dry.
Mm.
I don't use any creams or anything.
But
You know, like
you're eating like
there's
very
so many
carnivore.
storylines and um
I'm sorry, you're
what's the word
hanging.
I'm looking for? It's just an industry.
Yep. Are you hearing me? Are you here, Jem? I think the internet is breaking down again. Okay. Mercury retrograde was yeah, our guest two again. So Gemma
Take
just
four.
switched
Take
take
three.
four or three. Gemma switched locations. So Gemma, you were just yeah, telling us how you're not drinking water but using fat, and maybe you would like to share how the carnivore diet is yeah, part of your life. How do you understand the carnivore diet for yourself?
Hmm. So how that would follow on from the water is probably the fat and also what the animal is taking, the transfer of energy through the animal also.
Yeah.
So the amount of water that I drink is minimal. I tend to just sip water if I'm thirsty. If I'm working and physically sweating, then I will actually compensate with more water.
Yeah.
But I get my water content from nasal breathing,
Mm-hmm.
literally as much as I is humanly possible throughout my day. I nasal breathe.
Gemma is a breathwork coach as well. Maybe for those, it's important for the context. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and also understanding that the air that we understand is hydrogen and oxygen.
Yeah.
You know, like it's in there, you know.
Moisture.
Yeah, it's in there. And understanding that so much of the water can actually pass through the animal as well, because the animal is a transferring unit. So
Mm.
say, for example, the cow eats the grass, which is, you know, full of all those nutrients and, you know, all that kind of stuff. and water, sunlight, energy. It's a transfer of energy that goes into the meat. And obviously I'm accepting that into my body through what I consume. I also drink broth when I use the bones. That's like elixir. I don't know whether you have.
It's like, it's highly nutritious. It heals the gut. It's like there's an amino acid in it, like glutamine, for example, and this is so healing for all the people, for all the ladies especially, which have taken contraceptions, oral contraceptions, where you have a leaky gut, for example, and to heal your leaky gut.
It's just, I mean, the stuff that comes out of the inside of the bones, I don't think we understand.
No.
I don't think that we fully understand the energetic transfer of what we are actually getting from the animal.
And that's why it's so important to have really healthy, natural, happy animals.
Yes.
Mostly happy animals,
Yes.
and we are definitely not talking about these masses of, horrible things happening on animals, for animals, and it's like horrible. We are not talking about that. Definitely not.
No, the thing that actually changed my mind in regards to being a carnivore was watching my son with the potato. So him understanding that the potato was a living thing that had consciousness.
Spirits, the shamanic, the shamans know that every living, every creature, every rock, every mountain, every river has its spirits. So
absolutely. And watching him give the last rites to this potato, was helped me understand how to deal with the cruelty of animals. I started researching into indigenous cultures, and I've always had a little bit of an obsession with Native Americans and the bison and living with the animals and that very spiritual connection.
For me, it was the Aborigines.
And being able to almost take on the spirit of the animal. And I found it really interesting that my son actually made the potato happy and gave him an experience before we killed him. So the potato was happy. And I thought that what would be the difference of killing a deer? I didn't know that you were there, who was eating the grass, who was chilled, who was,
not horrified in these slaughterhouses. Wow, terrible.
And then when I actually started experiencing low stress handling on the farm that I am on, it's Burntwood Farm in Winchester. If anyone's interested, you can actually find us on Google, and our story's on there. The farmer loves his cows as if they are his babies. They are, energetically connected. I have seen him get up at 3 o'clock in the morning in his pants and go out to them in the middle of a storm. These are loved family animals. Then, they're not
products.
No. Like, there's so much love into every single animal. They're outside 100% of the time. They are grass fed. They're moved around the farm.
Get sunlight, get the herbs, get everything what is seasonal on the field.
They, they're medicating themselves as they go around the farm. Every field is completely different. They all have their own personalities, and that's the cows and the actual fields. The ecosystem is being regenerated because of the animals and the way that they're being looked after. Like, the whole cycle is just insane. It's on another level, and it's completely possible. The farmer here is actually starting a community called Conscious Cattle, and you know, welcoming other farmers into this low stress, no chemical, organic, you know, regen kind of farming. And it changed me to a different level of carnivorism, if that's even a word. So understanding that even chickens, we shouldn't really be eating chicken meat because they're not designed for that. It's not something naturally that the animal does, you know. And the, you know, we've industrialized a bird to become two different things. So we kill all the males that from egg laying, and we, you know, we're eating birds that have been fattened up on grain.
Yeah.
You know, we are manipulating the system so much. I mean, we generally have chicken as a treat, and to me, it tastes sweet. When I have chicken, that feels almost like a dessert. I used to suffer so badly with a sweet tooth, and I'm not even slightly interested anymore. I'll
Okay.
have it for the magnesium, you know, like when I feel like I need a chocolate hit, 1 cube, and I'm good to go. I'm happy with that. I don't really, you know, sit there eating the dairy milk and
Yeah.
all
But
that.
you're eating plants as well, right?
Yeah, so I was teasing the ladies yesterday and say that I just have them as a garnish.
Yeah, okay.
A garnish to my life.
Okay.
But if for me, the way that I understand it is that plants don't make me happy. They don't make my body happy. I love things like sweet potato, like parsnips and carrots and all that kind of stuff. I absolutely love. But it's small. My plate is filled with eggs. It's filled with you know,
Butter.
butter. Yes, I use tallow, and I generally just have meat. So my diet is very, very simple, and I use my cooking skills to create variation within that simplicity, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I educate in a way that's, if you use very simple ingredients that are very high frequency, say for example the beef, and you use your knowledge and your expansion and your nurture, which is your feminine energy, to expand the options, how you can take those simple ingredients, then you have a great meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I love the Asian cuisine so much, especially the Japanese, because they're so simple and minimal with flavor, because they focus on the quality of the products, and the quality brings the taste.
The amount of food that I actually eat is really small. Yesterday, when I cooked for everybody, I had one lettuce leaf wrapped in some of the beef beef brisket that I'd cooked over the fire.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the table and being around the food, I was completely full. And I just
So
had,
interesting.
I just
Yeah,
had
but that's
one mouthful.
But that makes so much sense, because you are hungry, or people are hungry, women are hungry because they are nutrient deficient, you know? That's why they crave for certain foods. But when you are fed, when you are full, when you are nourished, so the amount gets, it's like a different eating. So it's very, very interesting what you're sharing. That's why I really enjoy it. Yeah.
If you watch indigenous women preparing food and eating together, they actually take stuff out of their mouths and give it to the other women. You know, this tastes good, enjoy this with me. They're really good at sharing, and there's no, you know, like I was speaking about it with the women when I was introducing their meal, you know, like the foraging and the experience of the food. It's like, if
Yeah, it's
you
a process.
yeah,
It's again the process. Yeah.
if you think about us as women walking with our babies, and we would be foraging as we go, we would see a berry and we would maybe eat one, give one to the baby, then we would or, you know,
Mhm.
oh, there's some here, you know, come here, and you would give that to another woman.
Yeah.
You know, we wouldn't be sitting there eating this massive plate of food.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nourishing the tribe, yeah.
yeah, and
Taking care of each other, yeah.
touching each other. I think women need to actually understand how nourishing touch is.
Mhm.
And I was discussing the fascia of the meat.
Yeah.
Have you seen
I've
fascia
seen the
from?
net. It's like, for me, it's like a materialized form of electricity in your
Yes,
body. That's
yes,
for me.
yes. It's iridescent, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
it's all different colors. Like
Yeah.
when they cut the tallow from the ligaments and things, it's thick. Like cow fascia is so thick, you cannot get a blade through it.
It's like a
It's
gateway of information, yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And when I teach people about fascia and body work and, you know, electricity and, you know, we're going like this and you can feel it, for
Yeah.
women to be touching each other, like,
Mhm.
don't do that. It's,
Yeah. In
you
my
know,
women's circles, at one point, it's similar maybe for yours. Um, the women, they were always a group of 3 women
Mhm,
massaging each other. So in the middle, there was one who get massaged, to receive, and the other one serving, the other
mhm,
2 ones serving and
mhm.
massaging especially the belly part, the womb. Where is the womb? Where are the ovaries? How can I soothe the ovaries and
Yeah,
move the energy, literally move the fascia.
yeah,
And it was so interesting because, of course, in the beginning, everyone was like, are we allowed to do that? It's
yeah,
strange. I don't feel comfortable with that. And I
yeah,
was like, hey, this is a safe space. We are just exploring
yeah,
together.
yeah,
Nothing. It's like you always keep your boundaries. It's okay,
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
absolutely.
and they were like, oh, you're such a good massage. It was such a good massage. We should meet each other to do that. It's so good because it's so um intention intentional less. It's not like it's sexualized. It's not a man, it's just like a woman. It's not,
Yeah,
it's just about, again, nutrition. Get
yeah,
nourished.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Um, we were um we were doing some movement, and I was saying, you know, like when you're passing each other, like enjoy
Mhm.
stroking each other. And, you know, obviously we've had lockdown and everybody's sort of a bit like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Isolated. Yeah.
I couldn't live without affection.
Yeah.
For me,
We
that's
we all couldn't actually.
For me, I mean, obviously you felt my hugging and kissing and
Yes.
yeah. I don't really give people many options. It's like that's what I need, so I'm gonna get
That's so fine for me. I love that. I love that too.
But
Yeah.
it's building that rapport with someone so that it doesn't feel like you're going across somebody's boundary. Like, let's
Mhm.
make it enjoyable for
Yeah.
both parties.
Yeah.
And I also feel like the discussion with nutrition is like that as well. Like when I say I'm a carnivore, um, it's not that I wouldn't eat plants. I never thought twice about, you know,
Mm.
coming to the retreat, you know, and being offered completely vegetables and fruit.
Mhm.
I would never sit down at somebody's table and go, you know, there's nothing here for me. You know, I need this, and
Mhm.
expect someone to serve it for me.
Yeah.
I have overwhelming gratitude that there's food in front of me.
Yeah.
I think that's missed as well. You know, there's I mean, I suppose we talked at the top of the reading a little bit about the
Yeah.
separation, and
Yeah.
I think there is it's like people want to fight over it.
They want to be separated. They want to be on a side, and they mostly want to be on a side which is obviously in the mainstream. It's like legitimate
Mm,
to be there. and don't get any denial for blah blah blah. But on the other hand, you really have to take on to the consequences. What does it mean for you, especially? On what point are you as a in your female life experience, in your life cycle? You know, every woman who was pregnant, for example, has a deficiency in nutrients. It's so exhausting for women to build a human body, you know, with all the stuff, and you have to take care of yourself after giving birth. The whole tribe, the whole family, just make sure that this woman, this newly born mother, also get nutrients as much as possible, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, I mean, I don't know what your consciousness is on this, because I don't think we've touched on it, but there's so much nuance around pregnancy and where we're getting all that fertility from, and the storylines in regards to we should be eating this, that, and this, and this, and this, and this. And then you see women who are like drug addicts getting pregnant straight away. Are they not deficient? You know, their diets are not very good. You know, like I and this is where I think that women can't be measured in this kind of way. You know, I'm watching women eating fast food every weekend, and they get, you know, fertility really, really high.
Yeah, it's always the same. It's not only one topic. Yes, it's like transgenerational trauma. It's where you live, in which partnership do you live, do you want to have a child, or do you want to have not to have a child, you know, like on a subconscious level. And it's so bizarre what's happening there. And sometimes from the outside view, it's so unfair also.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like there's so much shame around, and maybe this pulls into one of the questions that you sent me about people making quite harsh judgments.
Yes, one question of the community was, how can you detach yourself from the opinions of others?
Well, I think for both of us having Aquarius energy, that's probably quite easy for us, because that's what we do.
I don't give a shit, you know. I just don't give a shit anymore.
High five
in your face. Virtual high fives.
Yeah, but for me, I think maybe I'm probably not the best person to answer that question, because and this is a completely different podcast and a whole different conversation. But my son was actually taken out of my care for my belief systems. You know, it was used in family courts to be able to cause leverage to take him out of my care. And my belief systems are so engrossed around the nutrition and, you know, my spiritual context, my downloads, you know, and living in the way that I do. You know, my ground living was brought up. My, you know, the fact I don't have a settee, you know, the fact I don't have a TV, that was another thing. The fact that I didn't give my son sugar, that was another thing. The fact that I download and I listen to my consciousness and my intuition, you know, like to be a to initiate as a woman, to lead, to step outside of a box, to step outside of the program is audacity. You know, like there's that, how dare you step into your power, how dare you.
Oh, I feel you so much. Which wound, you know, again,
like hold on a minute, you're not inside the box now. You're and there's this fear straight away. As soon as you say, I'm gonna listen to what is good for me, that's scary as hell to a lot of people. And nothing is more scary to society than a woman that actually steps outside of the program.
Definitely. To live there, to live the truly the true essence of herself, the true gifts and talents of herself. That's the main point. It's not, I always witness this too. It's not the darkness we have fear of. It's our light, our real light, the real light, you know. Whoa. That's our fear, because the light will show the darkness of others.
Yeah. And for me, that's our fascia. That's our,
Yeah.
that's our hearts and love exploding for
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yes.
And that was the thing, the self-love. As soon as I found that for myself, I was stepping outside of every single program.
Yeah.
It would question is that right for me? I used to run it through that lens all the time. Hear this diet, is that right for me? No, it's freaking not. If I was challenged on anything, then I would run it through myself, as in, like, say for example, I tried veganism for 6 months and I didn't even make it to 4 months.
Yep.
My body just literally shut down. It was a big hard no from my body.
Yep.
But then some of the other things that I tried weren't so bad, like I actually tried fast food, like hardcore, said to myself, I can have anything that I want, any food that I want. I can eat pizza every day. I can have, 4 coffees for breakfast, whatever I wanted to eat that day, I would eat. And I didn't put any weight on.
Intuitive. To get intuitive into your body, but that's the premise, that you have a connection for yourself.
But also affirmations constantly, giving myself permission to eat whatever I wanted.
Yeah. And it's not going to harm.
Yeah.
That's a real tough one, because as you know, I had cancer, and I was in this survival mode, of course, especially also with food and stuff. What is right for me, what is not right for me. There was a narrative not to eat so many meat because meat is bad, blah, blah, blah. And so you go plant-based, or I went plant-based for like over a year. And at some point I felt so weak and not strong at all. My whole energy was like gone. And then I allowed myself again to change, of course, the quality of the food, yes, and the source of the food and the intention with it, and then everything changed.
What kicked off your change when you had the cancer and you went plant-based? Because obviously that's the programming.
Yeah, it's definitely no, the program actually, Gemma, was like, it has nothing to do with the food, just eat like you did before. That is the programming.
Wow.
It's completely bonkers. It is.
Wowzers.
Yeah. So heal yourself, but not with the food you get.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hospital food is pretty.
Yeah, it's not like that, but
anybody that.
No, for me it was like a similar path, maybe like yourself. It's like serving me. How do I feel when I eat that? It's like getting back to this intuitive stuff. When I have sugar cravings, why do I have them? Is it emotional? What do I need instead? And it's not like I'm like, I'm not Jesus, I'm not perfect, blah, blah, blah. I like yourself, like you shared, I mean, I allow myself to eat at some point some stuff, but I know the consequences. I know how it makes me feel. And that brings me to gluten. And now you can share. Please share your download, please.
Yes. So it's sort of bouncing off nicely of the question. The downloads that I get from consciousness are so simple. My guides talk to me in a way that's like, what are you worried about that for? Why are you paying attention to that? It's so simple. It's like, Gemma, why? If it's fear-based, it's not from consciousness at all. And I, I mean, we had some good giggles about how our guides talk to us.
Yeah.
And it pretty much is the same. Like, it's so matter of fact. It's so, you can't mistake it.
Yeah.
And
fear, you have to be vegan, otherwise the climate will collapse.
Yeah.
And that's like a marketing campaign for, I don't know.
Yeah. And the questions that I get also, that it's more of a, it's not a statement, it's a question. Like I had a download and they were basically saying to me, why do you think that they threw bread out in the Colosseums?
Mm.
And it's the same reason why the Colosseums were built in the first place, you know, to keep people occupied.
Bread and games,
Yeah,
people.
yeah. Bread, games, and beer.
Yeah.
And obviously sluggish, you know, like, I mean, I'm not completely adverse to bread, buns, you know,
Hmm.
all this lovely stuff. You know,
Sourdough bread,
yeah,
sure.
we are having a computer. We're in a program, but that's not where I'm going on this podcast. I was going to say that I'm not adverse to having the that we call them treats,
Mm.
but I feel like I'm having a human experience. I like to have, you know, taste and enjoyment. There's a lot of comfort for me in regards to bread, but I know what it does to me.
Yep.
So the bread slows me down.
Yeah, it's
We were
we
saying slows the digestion down, you know. I mean, what does bread do to your hormones? Have you done any reading on that?
well, when the hormones is directly connected to our digestive system. So
Mm,
like serotonin, for example, 80% of serotonin is built in our digestive system.
mhm,
And we over there we have a estrobolome. I don't know what the word is in English. Estrobolome. Estrobolome. It's like metabolizing estrogen in the digestive system.
mhm,
And the people who have a bad digestive system, a bad status of it, they are not able to do that. And that's why so many women suffer from estrogen dominance. And
mm,
estrogen dominance is a disbalance, of course,
mm,
disbalance, and which lead to several symptoms,
mm. But
And
that could also be sort of spoken about in a more energetic level, and you could say,
energetic level, it's just like pulling you, it's really pulling you down.
yeah,
That's
yin.
why it's yes, back to the ground. It's not, it's very passive,
Mm,
it's
mm,
definitely yin, it's passive, it's like
mm,
sluggish, it's cold, it's like um standing still.
mm, mhm,
And that's why we really have to balance our diet as well. Like traditional medicine is like having yin food, yang food, and
mm.
there we have also, yeah, or we should pursue a balance over there too.
Well, the way in my mind that I download understanding bread is that it was a
Food.
poor man food.
Yeah, yeah.
So it has no nutritional value whatsoever. But
No.
that's the reason if you were a poor family, you would have bread, but you would have fat.
Mm.
So the bread, in my understanding, is the feminine and
Mm-hmm.
the fat is the masculine. And if you're using butter, then that's like pure masculine energy. That's fuel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sunshine energy,
Yeah.
that the butter
And
being
meat
yellow.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you would have, or like up north in my mum always used to say they used to have Yorkshire puddings. You know, Yorkshire
Mm-hmm.
pudding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they would the batter, the eggs and the
Yeah.
leftover batter, they would dip that in
Yeah.
lard,
Yeah. But
lard and
that,
animal fats, and you know, white trays and stuff round, mopping up the
yeah.
you know, think how nutritious that was.
Mm.
We can see,
The fat was okay. It's just like running your machines. Yeah, just oiling your machine.
yeah.
But there was no protein is it's protein. Pro is always the first. It's like prime. You have to have first protein. Protein is the substance for regeneration, for building up, for getting healthy, for all of your texture, for your skin, for your bones, for your fascia, for everything. So it's ridiculous that there is a campaign out there not to eat so much protein because of your certain organs or stuff like that. And it's not true. You really have to even manage to eat so much protein.
Mhm.
It's not possible. You
Mm.
really have to eat lots of it
Mhm.
to get in that area where protein is harming, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I think it's also I feel like the science is almost damaging
Mm.
because it's beyond people's understanding.
Yeah.
They can't. Uh, I mean, I have a bit of a few boundaries to taking on a lot of information because I
Mm.
don't want to cloud
Yeah.
my um how can I say it? I prefer to channel
Yeah.
and sit in meditation to receive my
Yeah.
information so that I know that it's clear and
Yeah.
it's pure. And then it normally comes to me in a form where I would talk about it or learn about it, or I would see a documentary and that would
Mm.
clarify the information. And I found the story of water so interesting. And, you know, like we're told to drink 3 liters a day.
It's too
And, you know,
much. Mm.
the doctors are telling you that your urine needs to be like free and clear. Like, no,
Mm.
you're literally just, you know, draining every single mineral out of your body to do that.
We
I'm like,
don't really understand what's happening over there, and that's why it's so important to get into your body and really feel what's making you happy,
I mean,
what's
even,
making your cells happy.
yeah, exactly. And how you feel in your mood. I mean, for women to be in so much pain every single month and
Yeah.
riddled with PMS, and do you call it PMS in?
PMS, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And like giant mood swings and things. Like we are meant to have hormones, but we're not meant to be like murdering our
On
partners.
that suffering and not the suffering. It's not
Yeah.
logical for nature to have half of the civilization, half of the population suffering certain times in the month. It's not.
Mhm.
Why should nature do that?
I must admit, like, I like the question in regards to how do you detach yourself from it, and what do you do when you're getting criticism for making changes?
Yeah.
The simple answer is, for me personally, is I'm doing what's right for me and my family, and if you cannot accept that, then that how can we be friends?
Yeah.
Because I would want you to be making the best choices for yourself also.
Yeah. How can we coexist peacefully?
Exactly. And that
And
is
that's
the
the
one.
whole point where we
Yeah,
are
that is,
as a human,
yeah,
human
and that's the
society.
oneness of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I mean, like the consciousness around the tribes. If you look at indigenous in Africa, there's one tribe 20 miles away from another one that does something completely different. The
Mhm.
ecosystem's completely different. The temperature might be completely different. They might not have a water source. Like, and they
That's
just,
the how adaptable and how flexible and how intelligent is our system, our whole being. And that's what we are lacking nowadays because we are not flexible and adaptable anymore, especially not our metabolism. And maybe this is the cycle we can do.
that is exactly what gets downloaded to me. Consciousness
Mm.
is telling us with our health that we are killing ourselves with our intellectualness,
Yes,
if
and we
that's even
do.
a word.
Yeah.
And because we're not trusting Mother Earth to provide us with what we actually need
Mm.
and adapting to Mother Nature,
Yeah.
that is the thing. We are basically getting left behind
Mm. Yeah.
because we're trying to manipulate everything. Like even the crops, we're not meant to be doing crops.
Mm. We try to control everything because of fear,
Yes.
because of not seeing the abundance about when I'm going to our little forest here nearby, I'm just mesmerized what wild herbs are there at the moment and for what they are for. And
Mhm.
I'm just like looking, okay, now we have of course, the nettle, and now we have other stuff that I don't know the names in English. So, and it's so interesting what Mother Nature tries to say to us or tell to us, educating us what is there at this very moment, you know, what is healing and helpful, and there's plenty of it.
Yeah, there really
You just
is.
have to watch and to observe and to be open.
But do you know the one thing I don't know whether you find this with the women that you see in your therapy sessions in circles, but I seem to trigger so many women because I don't use cosmetics. You know, like I don't use anything on my skin. I don't, you know, like there's literally, I don't have drawers full of cosmetics. I don't use makeup. I don't, you know, there's nothing for my body that it doesn't go through my mouth. I get everything through my food, and that seems to trigger so many people because it's they almost feel like guilt and shame that they do, and that's not the thing that I'm trying to put across. It's the information is there that your body is abundant and your body is the infinite intelligence, and if you give it the right information, it will provide you with a wonderful work of art, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And
so in my circles, of course, every woman is free to literally wear what she wants.
yes, yes.
But in the retreats, especially when we have very deep journeys, you know, I really encourage them to be without mask, because it is a mask. And for myself, it's the same. I also try to have as less as possible. It depends on the day and how I feel, if I want to play. But this is also like, like a canvas too. I'm the canvas, you know, what I wear, what I doing. That's a point of me. But I'm kind of type nowadays with less of this stuff. I have a little bit that, but that's it.
I think that it's I was talking to one of the girls about it from my women's group, and I was saying it's a process.
It's
You
a
don't
process.
like
It's a process.
I didn't just wake up one morning and go, oh, I'm just going to be completely in my
No.
authenticity, and no, really didn't happen like that. Like I mean, there was a stage in my life where I had black hair, black eyebrows. I was covered in fake tan and going on sunbeds. You know, I had my implants in. Literally, I didn't look recognizable, you know, the fake nails. Literally, if there was something that I could have done to myself, I was having it done. And it's been a slow and steady deprogramming. Like,
befriend yourself.
literally, it is a complete and utter twisting, turning, Alice in Wonderland, down the rabbit hole, you know, kind of scenario, finding the authenticity of what you actually need. And sometimes it's incredibly scary. And I think nutrition really does trigger.
Absolutely. It's the new religion. Maybe we can come to an end with that too. We have the conclusion about that. So yeah, nutrition is definitely a religion, and we have to free ourselves in order to be authentic as possible from any dogmas out there, especially from the fear-based stuff.
Yes.
Especially from the stuff which is like a cloth above us. And if you don't do that, and if you don't wear that, and if you don't eat that, then it will have consequences. And that's always a narrative which is not nurturing at all.
No, the high stress round. I mean, like I mean, there's so many different podcasts we could do with this
Yes,
specific.
I see the timelines.
The narrative just around food. I mean, some women say to me, I literally gain weight when I look at stuff, and I'm like, can you not hear in your words what you're saying? Like, that food is stressing you out. Just calm down. Like, you know, like I mean, I can't. I'm going to do a disclaimer. I literally don't eat clean all the time. If I
Mm.
want to have a donut, I will have a donut. If I
Mm.
want to have a bar of chocolate, I will have a bar of chocolate.
Mm.
Like literally, there is nothing that I will not eat. I will enjoy it all. I eat fast food sometimes when I want to, but literally, I know how that will change my
Yeah.
mind. I know how it
The
changes.
brain fog. Beep.
Yeah,
You're not clear anymore. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I just think the awareness and the knowledge is the power.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you can't have it, you know. I mean, like,
It's the 80-20, but 80-20 percentage. It's like a
yeah,
formula. You try to be as consistent as possible for 80%, and 20% is like wild card.
mm. I will also add to that is that last year I was full on carnivore for a good period of time, and I
Yeah.
ate incredibly clean. And when I say clean, I just mean really high frequency, like no
Mm.
processed
Yeah.
food whatsoever,
Yeah.
as local to my body as possible. And I would prepare my food myself. Those were the three things that I classify as like high frequency. And I have never felt so full of energy.
Mhm.
I felt fantastic and I felt incredibly fertile. And going into my 40th year, I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like any last little bit of programming that was hanging on in regards to women's health and all that kind of stuff, I was just like, we're going to have to ask some really big questions.
No. And we have to really take good care of ourselves, because when women are malnourished, we will malnourish the whole society, because
Yeah.
we are like a transmuter. We transmute all the energy and all the nourishment.
Mm.
It's our power. That's our gift. It's our talent.
Mm.
And we have a big problem in society, but that's also a different podcast with malnourished women. So women, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's the emotional stuff as well.
Yeah.
If
It's
it's a multi-pronged attack, I think that needs to be discussed in regards to women's nutrition.
yeah.
Like men could literally get up and have the same thing every single day and be completely fine. And I think men don't get the same energy exchange from affection as what women
Mm.
do.
Hmm.
I don't think that they need it in the same way.
Interesting to explore.
Mm.
Or if this is also conditioning,
I
that they
feel
don't
like
need it,
I
that
feel
they
like
might
men
don't
need
need it.
challenge.
Hmm.
I feel like men need to be challenged. I think that's their kind of
Yes, they have
yeah.
their natural aggression, the
Mm.
aggression,
But
which is
also,
the testosterone to protect, and yeah.
yeah, to be given a task.
Yeah.
I feel like men just do amazing things when they're given jobs to do.
Yeah. And yeah, solving
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their testosterone, their logic, their,
Yeah.
wanting to provide. I mean, like
Yeah.
society is taking that nutrition away from them because of the convenience of food, that's making men completely flat. Like I think men's nutrition is also being stopped by society in regards to the supermarkets and things. Like it's almost taken their job away. In the
Yeah.
farming communities, all the machines are making so many men redundant.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many avenues of the nutritional conversation that needs to be had.
Mm.
Um, and I think just saying, oh, don't eat this and do eat this, and
That's not a solution. No,
it's
no.
not enough, no.
No, no, it's not a
And
solution.
and I think in regards to, I mean, this is just for me personally, the work that I'm doing with farmers and with the regenerative community, for me, the future of food looks very simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the two prongs that need to be stepping forward is the whole foods need to be exactly what they are, a beef, a
Yeah.
lamb, foods that are heirloom. You know, we need to get away from these like candy grapes and pink lady apples
Yeah.
and branded McCain potatoes. You know, we need to get back to this
Original.
as far as we can.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to stop the grains. We need to stop with the almond milk. We need to, you know, anything that's highly processed.
Yeah.
People, I mean, even a simple one, I'd love to close on this. Please go and have a look at how sugar is made, because there's a word called lime. And if you know what lime is, then you'll realize why your teeth are so bad and the reason why your gut leaks. You know, that
Has
just put
something to do with it. Yes,
yeah, just put that
definitely.
out there, because lime is incredibly poisonous, and that's something that we are literally ingesting in constantly.
Yeah.
Um,
And being
and
addictive about it. Yeah.
yeah, and the other prong that I would like to facilitate is the education around food. You know, the eating with the hands, the different forms of nutrition to turn every single calorie, let's call them calories, into 50, 60 calories, you know,
Yeah.
like by where it's bought, by the experience of the buying, by who's actually prepared the food for you, by, you know, playing some music and dancing while you cook, the education around the food, the praying over the food, the gratitude for the food, the enjoying it with your family around the table food, you know,
Yeah.
like the one thing that I would really, really like people to learn is that you can go and buy the best fillet steak and it still have no nutritional value,
Definitely. Yeah.
because number one, where it actually comes from,
Yeah.
has it had chemicals in the, you know, how was it raised, all that kind of stuff, how was it killed, but also what packaging it comes in, how many times has it been frozen,
Yeah.
you know.
Who
And then
prepared the food, in which mood, and yeah, I know. Yeah,
and
definitely.
the really high stress, like so many people say to me, is, oh, I'm rushing, I'm having my tea, I'm rushing out the door to go to a class. It's like, what is your digestive system doing? You're in fight or flight,
Mm.
you know.
It's
Are
not in
you
the parasympathicus. Yeah.
exactly? And
Yeah.
think about how nutritious the food was that we enjoyed of Deekers. We were
Yeah.
sitting down, we were relaxed, we were loving on each other, we were sat close, we were looking into each other's eyes, we were, you know,
Enjoying.
we were
Enjoying.
so in love with that moment, and
Yeah.
that food became something so much more.
Yeah.
Like, that's, for me, that is the simplicity of where our food is
That's the
transition.
connection.
Yeah,
Reconnect, maybe.
yeah. and
Reconnect.
and and to rely on coming back to farmers and bringing communities back into farms,
Mm.
because I feel like that's where the true abundance will come from, and
Yeah.
closing supermarkets.
Yeah, interesting. Yep.
I mean, I don't,
Get rid of all the stuff.
what is a supermarket like in Germany?
Well, it's similar to UK.
Is it, do they have the same format? So you have like flowers and
We have everything. Well, we have from flowers to I don't want to say the in Germany we say Lebensmittel, the stuff for life, eating for what we're eating, yeah. But normally I'm just go straight to the vegetables or maybe fruits and fish and meat, and then I'm going out. So
Mhm.
the other stuff is just like not there for me, because it's just like high processed food, and our body doesn't know that. So 95 to 98% what's in the supermarket, it's not really relevant for our body. So
Exactly that.
and
Yeah.
then we are out. That's our, yeah. But Jem, how can the people reach out for you?
Um, how can they reach out for me? I tend to just have my Instagram, which is everybody's den.
I will link that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. And I think that will be it for now.
Yeah.
I social media is not nutritious for my energy.
Yes, definitely. Gemma does some very, very good readings, tarot card readings to new moon, full moon. I really enjoy that. And we have also had a very nice reading. It's just memorized. It's so good. It was so good. Instantly, not knowing each other, just dig deep in the first moments, and it was like, yeah, perfect way to start.
The energy flows so beautifully between us. I
Yeah.
really enjoy interacting with you. It's a really special experience for me. Like this podcast as this opportunity to talk with you is, I can fit, like literally feel myself fizzing over with so many different topics, and I love the flow between us, the interaction. It's just, this is nutrition for me.
For me too.
You are deeply nutritious, Mrs.
That's so
I'd
good.
like to give you a lick.
Yes.
You're delicious.
Yeah, it was delicious. Thank you so much for all you've shared, for all your insight, for all
Thank you
your
for giving me so much of your time. You're so gracious and generous.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, because it will help. I think it will really help for those who are open and want to listen. And that's what I'm making the podcast. So it's out for the world. It's like it goes. And yeah, thank you so much, Jem. We'll do that
Really
another
enjoyed it.
time again.
Where should we go next time?
Not in Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
Have we done about 3 hours as well? Someone's going to be there having to like.
Yes. Maybe I split the podcast. Well, I will see. So
Well,
I just
warn everyone, it's going to be a long one.
Yeah, it will be a long one, but it's fine. So bye everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us so long. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your openness. And please don't forget to share your thoughts on this. Comment if you would like to reach out for us and starting the conversation. Please, we'll do that. It's the Aquarius time we are in. Thank you so much.